Guys, it's over. I have installed my Akebono system, and here you go. So for the front, this is what I had to do, and this is just basically tips that I learned. So this is the G37 caliper, or wherever else you source it. This is the cable that comes with the G37 caliper, and this one right here, so the left side is the black vinyl one, and I noticed that that's the same here. This is the right front one. There you go. And as you can see, it's got, let's call it white for right? So anyway, they've got these. As you can see, there's a block here. This is the front block. Let's look at the correct side, actually. So this is the left one. This is the one that came from the front driver's side. And this is how it is. Let's bring it here. So this is this block here. There's a block here, right? And you can see there's the joint as well. Then there's this short, rigid tube that goes to the back. This joint right here goes here, right here, through the back. So what I did is, the one from the G37 is a lot longer. So this one right here, what I did is first flip this thing. I opened it up and flipped it the other way. And then in here, as I said, this block right here is the one that went right here. So what I did was just got two nuts. Was that still spinning? Should be tight enough that it shouldn't spin. Okay, I'm gonna redo that. Anyway, so got two of them, put them there, and then I bent the tube a little bit to allow me to secure it there rigidly. Tips for the job. Well, one, undo the factory caliper, both bolts, undo this bolt here, undo this bolt here, expand the wire, expand the tube, then you can remove it, let it dangle, or support it, put a bucket here, whatever it is to hold it so you don't damage the lines. And then at that point, I came to this one here and held it with my adjustable wrench, and then I used my flare nut wrench on the other side right here. As you can see, as I said, this is where that comes, right? So I used my flare nut wrench on the other side, 10mm, and I was able to remove it. It leaked a little bit, obviously. This was dangling at the time. And then at that point, I make sure this one is connected first so that you're not, once you hook it up here, it doesn't start leaking down here and possibly peel. Might as well just have one leaking point, So I tightened this one, or rather just secured it there and hooked this up. Then put this back on this stud over here, and I forced this one onto the stud, and then that did it. So that's it for the front. The project is over. I haven't, obviously these are used. They were really pretty thick when I got them. I didn't want to throw them away. And what you'll notice, what I haven't done is I haven't replaced the shield, because we'll go to the front of this car. Well, never mind, it's the same situation because you can't really see the shield. But here you go. This is the shield that they come with. It's a real stubby shield. And I had bought these ones right here to install. But then thing is, I did not want to mess with the bearing when I did not have a replacement for them. So that's it for the front. I still need to bleed it, but otherwise it's done. Game over, right? Then let's take it to the back. This is what you have for the back, right? All you have is this one cable, right? This one hose, sorry. So, and as you can see, it just comes from the side. Is this the right rear? No. Let me look at the left rear. You'll notice I got my my paint pen today, and I've been using it liberally. Anyway, so this is it. Let's actually just take it. Why not? So this is how it usually sits in here, right? This hose goes right there. So, well, you'll notice maybe the length is not that far off. Not too far off, right? The other one's just a smidge longer, or just a smidgen longer. Anyway, so what I did, if the back I'd say was a lot easier, or maybe a lot more straightforward, because again, you don't have to fully disconnect it, but undo your bolts here for the factory caliper, this guy right here, and then here I sprayed this with brake cleaner first. Used a pliers, flathead, whatever it is to pull this bracket that holds it there. But actually, before attempting to pull it, I used my flare wrench again over here, broke it loose, and then I used my open end 10mm because it's easier to manipulate, and just kept going. When I saw it start to bleed a little bit, I turned it back, removed this fully, and just kept going because it was loose enough. And again, as I said, have this ready. The way I had it was I removed this caliper, and this caliper was actually sitting here, and it was easy to remove the rest of it. This one was already sitting in place, and you'll notice here, look at the back side, right? So this bracket that loops around and into the middle right there, this is what goes into the caliper itself. And then you have this C bracket over here that's secured by the 10mm heads. I can't remember what the thread pitch would be, but then as soon as I removed that, sprayed it, cleaned it, made sure that was clean. And again, remember, you want to secure this so that once you join it, you're not leaking from two places, right? It's easier to find a leak in one spot. So as soon as that happened, brought this up, and you have to make sure you turn this the right direction. It's kind of clocked, where if you have it not exactly where it needs to be, you will not be able to push the clip in because it won't poke out far enough. Then we'll also turn that in, start threading this by hand, and as soon as I'm comfortable with it, push the bracket in, and kept going with the 10mm open end wrench, and then finally tightened with my flare nut wrench. So well, for this one, any challenges? Well, not really, but it's something I prefer to do. You'll notice that here the shield I have a shield, right? That's again because I got both shields from the Akebono, from the G37, and I preferred to use a shield as whole instead of cutting up my other shield. Those guys right there. Well, one of the reasons, if at all, is I just didn't want it to look like a hack job. I didn't want to trim things in the back. And two, I had already bought bearings pretty cheap initially because I had thought that the rumbling I was hearing from the back was my right bearing. But turns out it was actually both tires were really bad. Sound like bad bearings. So I decided why not? It's the time to do it. So that's used, but had enough thickness on it. Replace the bearing. As you'll notice, the studs are pretty clean, virgin studs, and I still need to get this fully secure, this cotter pin. But yeah, new studs, new e-brake hardware. I already replaced that. New brake shoes, because you'll notice here the old brake shoes and the hardware. So yeah, definitely did it. I mean, they were not bad. It's just that was wearing in a pretty funky pattern. So again, got rid of that. And that's it. So I'm sorry this is a talk through video rather than a walk through with rather than a demonstration. But the problems, I mean, I was doing a lot. There was a lot of work going on. Well, for one, you'll notice the paint pen I talked about, that is supposed to indicate the hole, when you line the hole like this. Watch this hole. This is for the adjustment for there you go. When the hole is aligned or that gives you the adjustment for, there you go, the e-brake adjustment. You see it in there? And typically going down makes it tighter, makes it grab harder. That's the best way to explain that. So yeah, as I said, I'm not fully done with this part. I'm still yet to bleed it. Oh, and I was explaining why I didn't record videos, because I was doing a lot of work. I changed out the arms, the camber arms out here. Again, the reason those wheels were rumbling, those tires were rumbling, was because they were unevenly worn, and they were unevenly worn because of bad camber. So eventually I went and bought these SPC arms, adjustable turnbuckle style. And with that, I also changed the back right there. Those two, you see well, it's kind of far, but that bolt that I'm looking at over there, that's your toe bolt that hooks up to this pan, the spring part, right? So I got, there was a lot of work, and I did not have any assistance, which sucked. So I would have recorded a video, but the situation just did not allow. And again, in case anyone notices why I'm using 2 jacks to support it, I actually have jack stands all over on the other sides. Right, jack stand in front, jack stand over there, then I double jacked over here. The reason is I'm running out of jack stands. This car is still on jack stands, so I was out of that. Anyway, I hope talking about it kind of makes sense. Again, you don't have to do this. This is something that took a lot of work, because I removed the axle, axle nut, axle, then remove the bearing, then then this one right here, then the brake hardware, then this plate. Yeah, it's a lot to get to the dust shield. You don't really need to do that, but I've been accused of being a perfectionist. I don't know what the hell they came up with that idea from, but good luck. Sorry again, we'll interrupt you there. So as I said, I would have recorded video if I had assistance, but there was a lot going on, and it was just a lot of work. By the way, I just realized here the bearings, the old bearings, just so you know that I've really changed things up, right? So I'm not faking any of this. And plus, I'm trying to cut down on the whole work while you record videos, because I've been getting a lot of negative comments about, hey, your video sucks, try to be a little more stable. Thing is, this is not a studio production. This is the nitty-gritty. This is how work goes, You don't hold yourself steady while working. Shoot, try doing that with one hand. Try doing that while holding a camera. So I would have done it, but I just needed my concentration. I hope, despite not being a step-by-step video, that it still shows and describes at least my process well enough. There are a lot of people that have done it, but as I said, these are the tips on how you could do it. Things that could make it simpler while doing it on an Infiniti M Y50 at least. So as I said, some people go with stainless steel brake lines and all that. I'm not sure about the ones you buy. Do you get them like going from here straight to here, or what happens? I'm not really sure. So, but for me, it worked out just fine. I think I'm pretty happy with the outcome.